you don't have to put on your customer service face and your customer service voice, because you really believe in where you work and what you do and the people you work with. You guys can figure this out at a top level. It's not that hard. You have AI, we have subject matter experts you can talk to. They're realizing that they can expect more in that regard.
Most companies have values, but they don't necessarily have those values defined. Med Device Boston is your go-to med tech sourcing and education expo, September 30th through October 1st at Boston's BCEC. Engineered to advance the next generation of medical device innovation, this event unites 200 plus suppliers, 1,500 plus attending professionals, and OEM decision makers in the number 3 med tech hub in the US. Explore everything from 3D printing and AI to materials, regulatory tech, and contract manufacturing, all under one roof. Visit meddeviceboston.com to register and plan your visit. Links in the show notes. Ian Wilson, welcome to the Manufacturing Culture Podcast, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty great. Thank you for having me. It's hoodie weather in Michigan, so it's our favorite time of year. It's where we feel the most at home when it's slightly chilly.
Absolutely. I'm a little jealous. It's still 81 here in Phoenix.
That's cold for Phoenix. That's
for this time of year. Yeah. I mean, we've had Halloweens that we are literally drenched in sweat. And I remember growing up, I grew up in the mountains. And in Colorado. And I remember we could always anticipate the first snowfall on Halloween. So we all have like snowsuits under our ghost costumes and stuff like that. Here you plan for the opposite. You plan for, okay, how little amount of clothing can I wear underneath my sheet? So
we always get freezing rain on Halloween. Ever since my kids have been little, I feel like we never had that when I was growing up, but that I feel like every year, maybe with a couple of exceptions, it's been like the freezing rain special on Halloween. You're like, not only do I need to wear a coat over my costume, I'm also getting soaked, and everybody's like sick the week after Halloween. Like the respiratory infections are just running wild.
Absolutely. Yep. Ian, there's a balloon in your background that says happy birthday. Do you recently have had a birthday?
My birthday was on Tuesday.
Okay. So happy birthday, everybody, wherever you are. Sing happy birthday to Ian Wilson real quick. I'll pause for you guys to do that. All right, there we go. All right. Ian, this is going to be a fun conversation. We met at the Industrial Marketing Summit in February in Austin. Are you going back this year?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, that was my favorite conference last year by far.
Yeah, it was a great conference. I spoke to somebody this morning, and she went the first year, but not this year. She's hoping to get back this year or in 26. And I told her I had so much FOMO after seeing the photos, the social posts from 2024 that I had to go. And now I don't see myself ever not going to this. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was just a lot of fun to connect with everyone. And because there's people like me that are consultants, and there's the people that work internally, but everybody kind of has similar stories anyway. We're all kind of working with the same folks wherever we are. And it was just so much fun. Like everybody was so great, and the talks were all like really just changed how we were thinking about how 2025 was going to go. Like, it was in February, so you start the year and you kind of have your expectations for, we're going to focus on this year, and then you come out of that and you're like, okay, I need to like rethink my plans for the year now, primarily around AI, right? Because that was like the big one, and the party don't stop. The AI party never stops.
All right, let's jump into the icebreakers here, man. So the first icebreaker: if your life were a movie, What genre would it be? Who would play you? And what's the opening scene?
Oh my god! So I prepared for this, but I got distracted and forgot to finish preparing for
Perfect.
so that's actually perfect, and that's like 100%. That is the most authentic thing I could possibly do. Um, and this is great. So I was originally right. My first thought is always like, what's the most depressing thing I can think of? That would be my movie. But then I was like, but it also would have to be really funny because you have to laugh at everything horrible going on. And then I was like, well, it also has to be a musical because I'm a songwriter and a musician, so like it has to be like so you have to kind of combine all of those things together, which I guess would be kind of like Sweeney Toddish or something.
Yeah,
Um,
there you go.
I didn't think about who would play me, and I have to think of somebody who can sing. Jonathan Groff would be pretty good, and yeah, well, and if I really, Jonathan Groff would be my B pick. I would just have Orville Peck play me because now that he's acting, yeah, we can do
Yeah.
that. He stole my gig
Okay.
anyway.
Did he really?
Yeah, I mean, in my in the fantasy world in my mind,
Oh, okay. I was gonna
like
say,
I really
I
like
think
the
that's a story.
no. He's like his cool mask thing. I'm like, that's so iconic, and but like his voice and the voice, like we both have that baritone register, and so
Yeah,
that's my party line now. Is he stole my gig?
got it. Right on. Okay, and what's the opening scene?
I think the opening scene. No, yes, the opening scene. My God, of course, it would be Boy Scout summer camp, and there would be the storm. It would be a storm. There'd be lightning flashing everywhere, and the thunder would be cracking really loud, and that would kind of like build with the drums. We'd have like a big like
Okay,
timpani section, a bass drum, and kind of build the drums into the thunder, and then it would kind of like come down and we do a crane shot down to the opening of the tent and they're gonna open the tent doors and then it'd be like laying in the cot like in the thunderstorm and that's how it would start because
and is that when Orville then busts into song like for the first time?
well
Like
okay, that would be
in
the
this
child
tent.
actor that would be when
Okay, well, yeah,
yeah that would be like he would like narrate the opening monologue, right? And
got
I
it,
think the comedy aspect, we'd have the child. Yeah, the child would like lip sync it, but it'd be Orville Peck singing,
got it.
and
Okay,
also like the words too. Yeah, like that would work. Yeah.
all
So
right,
I
I dig it, man.
immediately start subverting expectations with the audience. Like that would be yeah. That's how we're doing it. I'll write
All
that
right,
down.
well, yeah, I think you got an idea there to run with. A and B. I think that gives our audience today quite a like snapshot of who Ian Wilson is.
Right.
Um, so Ian, we really connected over culture, right? That was one of the things that we bonded about at this event
Yeah, I'm
in
glad to hear
February. So, talk to me about what culture means to you. Not like a defined that you could get a definition you could get out of a dictionary, but what's your definition of culture?
I think culture is the level of authenticity people can bring with them, how much they can be themselves. We're talking about workplace culture. It's whether it's performative or it's not. And real
Okay.
culture is not performative. It's where people feel comfortable enough to show up authentically as themselves. Which yeah, might have to put a filter on it. It can't always show up. Authenticity doesn't mean unfiltered, but yeah, you can show up and you're not like you don't have to put on your customer service face and your customer service voice
Right.
because you really believe in where you work and what you do and the people you work with. So there's not this extra layer of okay, well, like here's what I really think and then here's what I'm allowed to say. Like those things merge together because there's not this dissonance between the two things.
I love that. And I tell people all the time that, and I'm wondering if it's the same for you. When I started my own company, It was the first time I felt I could show up uh, without a mask, right? Without
Sure.
necessarily having to be one person at work and another person at home. Is that been your experience as well?
That's a great question. I've been doing this for so long. Like, I'm at this point in my life where I've been doing what I've been doing for so long that I'll have conversations or like this question where I'm like, well, gosh, it's just like I've been doing this for 15 years. Let me think back a minute now. I was in my 20s the last time I had to do that. Uh,
Right.
and you get to live with clients and stuff, but I think that definitely should be like, number one or number two on the priorities when you start it is, yeah, like not having to mask and just being able to have that the balance between work and life when you don't have somebody that's watching the clock and trying to police, yeah, every aspect, depending on how toxic your job is, how much police state is happening at your work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like, and when you do that and you let other people do that, like that's when the culture really thrives. And the negative aspect is when the boss does that, but then everybody else is like, well, let me mold myself around their personality now because whoa, they're not afraid to hold back, but they don't want
Yep.
anyone else to do the same thing.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Ian, let's talk about you and your story. So how does a guy that writes music and is super creative like you are end up neck deep in the websites and brand strategy of the manufacturing industry?
I'm really practical, um, and also very frivolous, but we'll say it's in a practical way. I think that we've worked with a lot of clients over. I've worked with nonprofits and educational institutions, and I have a bridal boutique, right? But what made me and made us as a company really want to focus in on the manufacturing work is that it's all tied to something tangible at the end of the day. It's something that they're building that has to go out, and the way we talk about it, you can't hype up a spring. Like, springs are hype proof because
Sure.
like the part's gonna fail. There are specifications, and I mean, you work with a lot of engineers. Like, I think as creative people, there's always this animosity towards the engineering side, whether it's even if it's with engineers or just like web development type people, because of how strictly process driven things are. And we just really lean into that because we just found that it fit much more with our personalities of like, we really care about a product that's really exacting and really made to our standards. Like, when we talk to our clients in the manufacturing space, it was always like, these are the people that we identify with the
Sure.
most, and that really led us down that path. And we all just like love to get neck deep into the technical side of things, like a spring, for example. It's like, yeah, I would go listen to someone talk about springs for several hours. Like, I want to know, like, how did you choose the metal, and like like what tensile strength do you need for these different applications, and how thick like all those nitty gritty things. I'm like, ooh, I can see, like, it's like the Matrix, but instead of code, it's like, where are all the springs in my life? It's just that kind of like wanting to know how things work and really appreciating the people that make the life we have work in that way. I just think that there's so much of that in the fabric of our everyday lives, that like technology is magic, and it kind of lifts the curtain a bit.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's super rad. We're all just really into it.
Yeah. Was there, when you first started working with manufacturers and the industrial clients you have, was there a moment where you first thought, dang, these people just think different because they are that engineering, they don't have that like product that you can fluff up.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I mean from the get go, I think that, and there was a learning curve for us, coming from a marketing background. Like I do a lot of development and nitty gritty engineering stuff too that I'm really anal about, and so there's that. But there is a learning curve to realizing the motivation and the mindset behind it. And once you kind of realize, no, we're actually the same. Maybe the reason you piss me off is because we're too similar. And then you're like, okay, you know what? I can appreciate what we both bring to the table here. Um, I can't think of a specific moment. I think I'm sure I'm sure I'll think of it after this and I'll beat myself up
Yeah,
about it for hours. But
yeah.
but
Add it
really,
as a comment on social media when this is released. Just put that moment in the comments or something.
yeah, I think it's just I think yeah, I think maybe it was kind of like the opposite, where it was working with another sort of client, and just being like, man, I really miss like doing this project with one of my manufacturing clients, because there was just no bullshit there. It was very cut and dry, and it wasn't being driven by anyone's, you know, emotions or fear of being seen or saying the wrong thing or whatever. Everybody was much more straightforward there, and it was just like, yep, we have a goal, here are the steps we're going to take to get to it. There was not like the fluff that can happen around a product or a service, or even the way a company talks about itself. That's just so much not the case with a lot of manufacturing industrial clients, because we just live in the real world.
Yeah, absolutely. What with that learning curve you talked about, was there like a massive mistake or a misstep that you made early on that didn't maybe land like you wanted it to with one of your clients?
I think, mm, I think it was more just needing to appreciate where they're coming from, and kind of play a little 4D chess, where like they're focused on something really specific that isn't really relevant. And so like as a creative, you're like, oh my god, you're nitpicking my stuff to death, da 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 da, instead of being like, let me just flip it on you and be like, you know what, let's get really specific about something else, and let me give you things to be specific about, and just lean
Yeah,
into the expertise. It's really about being like, you are the expert, like educate me. And it was it's a process pivot in terms of shifting the relationship to beginning with a lot of education, and really getting a handle on like what are their sticking points beforehand, and knowing that those things are going to be there, and anticipating them, and just prioritizing things differently because of
got it.
that.
Yeah, and I mean the there are still a lot of industrial brands, manufacturers who have this idea that marketing branding is a website with a list of their capabilities and
I do.
a list of their machines, uh, almost like they're allergic to marketing in itself, right? So, how do
Yeah.
you help them build that brand that from in an industry where people are reluctant to do that and tell their story?
That's honestly one of my favorite parts of it, is because honestly, for some companies, that is what their website needs to be. We have a company we just finished building a website for, and like their website is primarily focused on the capabilities, the list of machines they have, because that's what when people are vetting them, that's what they're looking for. Like they're not looking for anything other than that from a specifications point of view. Now, where you what you can do on top of that, and what people really engage with, is the pride of where they work. And so this happened to be a family owned company, so they have that story and that history that they're leaning on, and they have very, very clear set of values. So really, I think getting into moving from, yeah, as your website a brochure where you're just talking about the specifications, the cut and dry, the things that
Hmm.
are quote unquote boring. But then when you start talking about purpose and values, that's when these guys, their ears perk up, because they have really deep seated values. Like, even in a family owned business, they tend to be, in my experience, a little more connected to the employees, because they tend to build long-term relationships with a lot of their people. And so this company in particular, one of the things they're really proud of was that their shop floor is always walk-through ready. It is as clean as can be. So for them, it was like, it's not like we need to spin anything or come up with any clever messaging for them. We just need to be like, what you need to communicate what you're trying to tell people is a photo shoot and video, because who you are your people. And one of their purpose, and I can't remember if I paraphrase this or if this is literally what the owner said, but it was, to create abundance for our employees,
Yeah.
which I thought was just like one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard come out of this interview process. And I think that, and it really resonated with me with our company as well, as it's like, yeah, that's really like, that should be what you're doing, is trying to create abundance for your employees. Obviously for yourself as an owner, you better be, I mean, honestly, because you need to tie that motivation into what you're doing. But and they really stand by their employees. And so getting the people in there, getting the shop in there, it's not about trying to make something super slick and animated and with some kind of crazy messaging. Like, we can speak very, very simply to those values and just literally show you, like, what you see in these pictures, this level of cleanliness, this is every day for us.
Right.
And then beyond that, like, here are our machines, here are our capabilities, this is what we do every day. Like, come check it out. What you see is what you get when you walk in the door. And that was like a really beautiful project to work on for me because of that. They were
I
just
love that.
really authentic in that way.
Yeah, I do love that. One of the things that I've found is, I mean, every company has a culture, right? It's whether they have a culture that's been intentionally built or not. And most companies have values, but they don't necessarily have those values defined, right? They're unspoken values. How do you get those values out of an organization, out of a leadership team
Ooh.
when they're not defined? And what does that look like?
Yeah, I think I think a lot of people are really afraid to define their values, because once you define them, then you're accountable to them. And that is full stop terrifying sometimes. Like, you
Yeah.
really, like, if yeah, because then everybody knows the contradictions are laid bare, and that can break your culture when you have them written down on the wall somewhere, and people walk by and are reminded every day about, this is what you promised and this is what you're not delivering. um
Yeah.
but getting people's getting the values of an organization is really what we do, and what I think people can do internally for themselves. And although engaging with someone external is helpful, because you just remove that awkwardness aspect to it, it's just to talk to everyone top to bottom. I'm like, which hand is which? Because the leadership team's going to say one thing, and hopefully they're hoping the people on the shop floor are going to say the same thing. And
Yeah.
so when you get those things, you kind of see where the alignment mismatch can happen. And I think that we're really fortunate in that a lot of the people that we work with and do this process with, of talking to leadership, talking to management, talking to sales, talking to the guys on the shop floor, and clients if we can as well, is a lot of them come out, and I think they find they're more in alignment than they realized they were. They're like, wow, our people actually really like appreciate us, and really see like the work we've put into living these values in the business. That's very much not the case. I mean, in a lot of places, certainly places I've worked in the past, it was always like, oh yeah, we believe in this and this, and you're like, yeah, totally, yeah, makes like very believable. Thank you. Like, what about 5 minutes ago? Like, seriously.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's really you just talk to people and let them talk and kind of get them going and see like you find the threads of where they want to ramble off on their own a little bit and you just let them go down those rabbit holes and you follow them and see where that leads. And everybody will do that from leadership all the way down. And you get to the end of that and you kind of have your notes and you see like where their paths diverge and where they unite. And it's really important to make sure that all those things are in alignment. And like I said, we've been really lucky in that the people we work with have really shared our values. And I think that's, it's just having that kind of cultural consistency on our end, I think is what helps us to wind up with those people. And like, I'm glad I haven't had to have a meeting with someone where it's like, I have really bad news. Like you're about to have a revolution on your hands. It's always been really positive. And we did it
Good.
ourselves as an exercise as well as an agency. And yeah, as leadership, like it was just amazing to see what people really think when they're just allowed to talk freely and everything. And I think that those kind of insights are really valuable and really resonant for everyone up the chain.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. What's the dumbest thing that you've ever seen a company do in the name of branding?
um I This isn't manufacturing related, but I think it's something that people get talked into a lot. And this was a job I had in college where it was like it had a whole presentation on the brand. There were booklets for everybody, like illustrated booklets with pictures and illustrations. And it was like, here's what experience is going to be for our customers, and here's how it's going to be different, and here's all the things that's going to be different. So we're breaking the mold, and then don't do any of them. Meanwhile, everybody has the book. Like some branding agency was like just, I mean, they got a blank check and they put as many zeros on it as they could to build out this very aspirational guide to the brand that then the client didn't implement at all. I think it's dumb and it's dangerous. Like you need to be smart in terms of what you're going to commit to and what you're going to, like I said, it's like when you put your values on paper, you better be prepared to back them up.
And how do those values translate into their brand voice?
In that case, with that company, it was they were really trying to. It was a furniture company, and so it was all about trying to make things more fun and less staid and less suit and tie. And so they were trying to make everything fun and light and bouncy and all those like leaves and tree graphics that we had in the late 2000s, in like 2008, where everything was a leaf. Every
Yeah.
single logo was a leaf. If you didn't have a leaf and the word sustainable in your tagline, you were not a real business in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And but then they had us all in suits and ties and everybody was super like it was the exact opposite. Everything they said they weren't going to do is exactly what we did. And so
Right.
the whole thing just felt so disingenuous and it really confused customers. It confused the employees, like everywhere again, from management to sales to the guys driving the trucks. No one really knew like how are we supposed to be approaching this because you're saying one thing and doing another.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of manufacturing companies understand what their brand voice is?
No, I don't think so. I think that's just not, I don't think it's a big concern. I think because a lot of a lot of companies, so we work with a lot of like mid-sized companies. So these aren't huge companies with big marketing departments. These are companies that, at some point in their history were pretty bootstrapped. And I think a lot of them start out with, a salesperson, sometimes also the owner, right? That's the world I come from, is the owner as salesperson.
Yep.
uh I've worked for several over just over my whole career. It's always been where I land as the owner as salesperson. I'm like their lowly assistant. We're trying to do everything else while they're trying to juggle managing the company and doing sales. And so for them, like, the brand voice is their voice, right? And if it's
Hmm.
not them, it's the one salesperson they started with, and that's kind of where it starts. And I think that's where a lot of companies struggle to grow from, because of that, because it's really tied to one person's idea of how it's supposed to go, or it's just, the same homogenous thing everybody says, and they're like, well, what we do isn't exciting, it doesn't matter. It's there's not a huge incentive, to them. People are much more concerned with the specs and the machines and things, and not necessarily those intangibles. Even though the intangibles, when everything's all specified in black and white, those intangibles become a lot more differentiating than people realize.
You may be thinking, why do I need to attend Med Device Boston? Because you're going to do more than browse. You'll build your pipeline. You'll see, you'll touch, and you'll engage with innovative solutions from 200 plus suppliers while participating in hands-on workshops, expert-led education sessions, and curated matchmaking, all engineered to accelerate your projects. Whether you're solving design, regulatory, or production challenges, Med Device gives you key conversations, timely insights, and the tools to move forward. Med Device Boston. Advance your pipeline, advance your network, advance what's next. One of the things that you and I talked about, and I don't remember in which conversation, but you've talked to me at least once, and it stuck in my brain about the need for digital to feel authentic, right? And so talk to us more about how industrial brands can achieve that digital authenticity.
Hmm. I think so. Yeah, when we started out our company in the era of skeuomorphism, back when everything on your phone looked like a notepad or whatever, and everything was obsessed with having that visual style, which was so tacky, but was so charming at the same time. And that was something we really focused on a lot, was like, how can we replicate this real world experience on the website, from hardwood floors on the website to like everything. And I think that now we're less obsessed with that specific aesthetic, but the same motivation is there to just show instead of tell. Ultimately, it comes down to showing instead of telling. So with other client, again, like the people need to know the machines and the specs and what technically they can handle, but like everyone can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But not everyone can show, not only show the cleanliness of their shop, show the employees doing the work, show the employees just looking generally comfortable with what they're doing. Like, everybody looks and feels very at home in what they're doing. um but then also just having the really demonstrating what you're gonna see when you walk in the door. Like, that's always been
Okay.
a big, like, motto of my, like, what are you gonna see when you walk in the door, and how can we, like, it's like a song, like, it's like a the website's like a warm intro, where you're kind of getting this preview of how things are gonna be when you go there, and what it's gonna be like doing business for them, with them, I mean. And that's really where we try to start. And like, a big part of that, back to what we were talking about with culture and value alignment and talking to people, is getting the from talking to the leadership all the way on down. You find the phrases and things that people use to describe stuff, and you build that vocabulary out of how people actually talk at the business, which again is so much more authentic than just the same the same things that everybody says, oh yes, like, on time turnaround with integrity,
Right.
trust and whatnot. You find people have their own metaphors. I mean, that, every salesperson has a folder full of metaphors they use when they're selling. Like the dude who sold me my couch, it
100%.
was like, for the cost of your Starbucks every day, you can own this couch. And I bought that damn couch. And I think it cost a little more than my Starbucks, but it wasn't a smart decision.
That's
It's my
funny.
fault. Um, but you like, it's a there are so many things you don't even realize are unique to your business. Like you just think of it, your business as this entity, like, but your people are what make the business worth working with.
Yeah.
And there's so many, and people are just a collection of idiosyncrasies and metaphors and manners of speaking and standing and dressing and engaging, and you just can mine that for all the good juice that just makes you, like, even on a subconscious level, stand out from all the stock photography, like all the lens flares and the smiling iPads. Like, yeah, you gotta have a couple of those in there because you know what, I can't take a photo of every single thing that happens. But
Sure.
people, we know the difference. Even if you don't know, the difference, and that's what makes it so invaluable and just makes people so much more comfortable engaging with you as a company when the humanness is out front and center. And that is lacking in so many representations of branding and marketing and selling in the manufacturing industrial space, because it feels sometimes like it's so big and so removed from that and so mechanical and so engineered. But all the engineers are people, and the engineers are characters. They are
Yes.
characters, and like everybody knows that. So again, you look at how people talk about their companies. You're like, where is that? Like, I know there's some crazy dude that says like unhinged shit in meetings somewhere, and we don't need to say his unhinged shit on here, but like we can communicate this crazy dude with his like serial killer glasses. Put him
Yes.
on there. Put his ass
Yeah.
on your website. Like,
Yep.
I want to know that dude is there. Like, tell me where the bodies are.
How, can you share, I guess, an example of a company that got it, that got that digital, the brand, the values, the culture, all are intertwined and do it really well, that you've worked with?
So the company we work with, it was this kind of spring summer, is Variety Dye and Stamping in Dexter, Michigan. And yeah, they just, honestly, like, I didn't literally cry, but I was like, man, like, I could totally cry to these interviews. This is so wholesome. It was just
Awesome.
like, you just read them and you're just so like, you guys are doing it so right, and you probably don't even realize how right you're doing it. Like, but like your people, I mean, there's someone there who just had major life difficulties, and they were like, we're gonna hold your job for you. You're gonna come back here. You're gonna come back to work when you're ready. Like, we got you. Like,
That's awesome.
and they just got it so much. And I just have so much respect for the owner and everything they do, just building that, like, being successful and doing that. Like, it's not an easy thing to do, especially
Yeah.
when your employees have difficulties that sometimes impact their work. Like, it's hard to find that balance of compassion and setting those boundaries, but also like maintaining a level of excellence. And like, it was just so inspiring working with them on that stuff. And their shop was gorgeous, and the floor was so clean. You could eat off of like, it was, yeah, it was just so, they were doing it right. They were doing it
I
really,
love it.
really right.
I love it. Is there a hill that you will die on when it comes to branding culture?
Gosh, like, do I have to pick one hill?
No, give us multiple hills. I like multiple hills.
Hang on, I gotta find a molehill to make into a mountain. Um, gosh, that is that is such a complex question. Um, I think, gosh, there is a lot there. So when I talk about brand with clients, a lot of the time people just think of branding as being synonymous with their logo. And I'm
Hmm.
like, dude, I I don't give a shit about your logo. Like, no one gives a shit about your logo. We're not shopping logos here. Like, I'm not gonna change your logo. Your brand is doing something beyond gray and blue, right? Or if
Yeah.
you're gonna be green and blue, you gotta have the sickest gray and blue ever.
Right.
Um, and so I think like as a creative coming into that world with other creatives, the hill I would die on is like just shut up. Like it doesn't need to be that pretty. Like pretty is easy. Oh my god, pretty is so easy. Okay,
Yeah.
get educated, get smart.
Okay.
Like that's another reason why I love these clients because you can be wordy and the people are there. Not no one's there to read, but like that kind of nerding out is appreciated there, and that's a
Yes.
big thing. Um, from a cultural perspective, I think I mean, the biggest hill for me is just like talking to the people on the shop floor. Don't let that divorce happen.
Yes.
And I mean, equally important is the between sales and marketing. Like that's from where I land in the mix. Like that's the other big culture war is you got marketing and customer success and sales and like it's like guys, y'all are on the same side, and
Right.
it can get bloody in there because everybody's got their own goals and salespeople like it's their paycheck, right? So it's like really personal for them. Like for marketing people, it's like I read this blog post and I want to try this new thing. For a salesperson, they're like, it sounds to me like you're moving the decimal point in my paycheck in the wrong direction. And customer success is like, but where's the customer in all of this?
Yeah.
And I think that, yeah, I think it's like for me, the those three hills become this mountain range of the customer needs everybody to talk to each other. And the customer is your
Yes.
business. Like that, without the customer, there is no business. And so then without talking to each other, there's not going to be customers and there's not going to be a business. So it's like talk to each other, but also like understand that everybody has different goals that are personal
Sure.
to them. And you need to be respectful of everyone's personal goals. Understand that like the reason they're reacting emotionally about this stuff is because their personal goals are to protect themselves, their family, and their paycheck. And, it's just like everybody can just find so much conflict in those things for no reason. We like to talk past each other. And I think that culture is a balm to keep people from talking past each other because you can be
Hmm.
authentic and everybody kind of knows each other and you even if you're not super chummy with each other like there's a respect there that just is innate to having that kind of a culture.
Yeah.
That
I
sort of
dig that.
answers the question.
Yeah. Well, this is a no judgment zone, Ian. You, you're a creative dude, right? But you work with companies who make things, they build things, they create things themselves. What has working with those kinds of clients taught you about creativity in general?
I think and so like I'm creative but I also have to be doing building things with my hands. I built my son a chair costume, where it's like the thing where it's like you're kind of transforming, you transform her down to the chair, you look like a chair, and no one can tell you're not a chair.
Yeah.
Like I one of those, or the lighting fixture that's like flickering weirdly in my video that I made to my lighting fixture. So like that hands-on stuff is so much a part of who I am. And working with those customers, I wouldn't say it's changed my view of creativity so much as reinforced my existing bias around
Okay.
practicality and problem solving. Um, maybe it's highlighted the importance of certain things and trusting my instincts. I think yeah, I think I would say that they've allowed me to and helped me as a creative trust my own instincts to the degree that like I know that I can get where they're coming from and follow that thread and get to know them and put my creativity to work in that way. Um yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Right on. Um, Kind of along the same vein there. Because you've been at this for so long, um, what have you what has changed the most about the way manufacturers view and expect from their marketing?
Mm, that is that is a damn good question, actually. That is actually a really good question because I mean, that is changing and evolving every day. I mean,
Yeah.
since what, November of last year when did ChatGPT drop? Like, I feel like depending on their level of education in that realm, people's expectations change a lot. And they expect, or they should expect, a partner. I think that people are learning to expect more partnership. I think that in the past, building up to where we are now, people have been satisfied with, oh, we brought these people in from marketing. They don't really get what we do, but they're marketing people. They're not smart. Like, that's fine.
Right.
And now I think that companies are realizing, you know what? Like, you guys can figure this out at a top level. It's not that hard. You have AI, we have subject matter experts you can talk to. Yeah, they're realizing that they can expect more in that regard,
Yeah.
and good for them because they should. I think that's the part I love about it is learning all this stuff. Like I had a 3 hour tutorial uh on testing and hardware testing in the loop for like
Okay.
autonomous vehicle driving. Like I just got 3 hours of like, all right, here's how we test like the gauge of the cluster in the car and everything. And yeah, I think that's really like, I think that's the biggest thing that I've seen shift in my time working is people having a more expectations around knowing their clients, knowing their industry, knowing their products.
Got it.
Because yeah, you call the marketing agency and they would sprinkle the marketing dust on it and make it pretty, and engineering would be like, no, you can't say that. You kind of have that back and forth and stuff. And then they're expecting people to come with with either more humility or at least more willingness to learn.
And where you brought up AI, where's the future of AI headed in marketing?
Well, it's kind of like Terminator. The time
Skynet?
marketing, right? Yeah. So like time travel used to market AI, if it's confusing, that's intentional. It just means you haven't gotten it yet. It's like Inception. That didn't buy me enough time to think of an answer. Fuck.
Is that where the humor comes from? It just buys you time to think of your answer?
Sometimes then I spend too much time thinking of the joke that then I just steal the brain power from the answer into the joke. And
Got it.
yeah.
Got
What
it.
was the question again?
Where's AI headed in this
Where is it?
industry? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that, yeah, AI is, where's it headed versus where should it head? I think right now AI is running in circles and we haven't yet learned where we want it to go when we stop running around in circles.
Okay.
I think that we have it generating a lot of content and images and ideas that move between either too simplistic and too repetitive, as such that it lacks engagement and authenticity. And on the other end of the spectrum, we have it doing things where we don't understand it, so we can't actually use it. And I'm really referring to like vibe coding with that, where you use it
Okay.
to build something and you're like, sweet, this works great. And then it deletes your production database or whatever. And you're like, oh, maybe I should know what them. Maybe I should have some knowledge myself so I don't do stupid shit. Like, and I
Yeah.
think that when we finally stop, we have all these aspirations for it, like thanks science fiction, like that are not necessarily realistic, and we're neutering ourselves mentally sometimes. I think we have to find that middle ground of really using it to as a little add-on to our brain, like when you buy a external hard drive for your computer or something. When we get to that point, we stop trying to replace things and start focusing on augmentation, then we'll finally get the traction we need to move forward,
Yeah.
because there's so many great things you can do with it just to generate a billion ideas, but you have to filter it down. You have to find what's good. You have to find what sticks and what's human. Otherwise, it's just spinning its wheels and it's never going to get anywhere because it's just the average. I think that was what Bertrand said, or I can't remember his last name. Sorry, guy from IMS though, the
Oh
SEO
yeah.
guy. He was saying, it's not artificial intelligence, it's average intelligence. It's taking the average of everything that already exists. And that's super helpful because you can go really wide and sometimes you can go really deep, but it's still only the average. And it requires humans to create that real spark that goes beyond that.
Sure.
So, where is AI heading? It's waiting for us to tell it. And until we start making that decision, it can't go anywhere.
Great answer.
Philosophy.
Um, what is your hope for the future of manufacturing?
And this is great. At IMS, there was that roundtable discussion with Megan Z.
Jimba, Megan
Huh?
Jimba. Yeah. Megan
Yes.
Jimba. Yeah.
Yes. And there was, I'm sorry, Megan's the only one I can remember, but there was the other guy, and there
Jacob
was like,
Sanchez.
it's Jacobs. Yes. Yes. Jacob and Megan. I think there's one other dude there, maybe. Anyway, what I learned from that round table is that the future of manufacturing is stronger communities and stronger futures for our kids. Like,
Mm,
that was so freaking inspiring. Like, talking about bringing manufacturing into schools and kids being like, I want to do this, and knowing having an idea of what they want to do. And it's like, trades are so important. Robots can't do all this stuff. AI can't
yeah.
fix my air conditioner or retool a machine. Like, we got to do this stuff. These are
Yes.
foundational jobs that create like financial anchors within communities that give people futures, that give their kids futures, that help them take care of their aging parents. Like, it creates a continuity of community and care that was so. We had this like flash in the pan moment of that. I feel like I'm from Michigan, so Detroit is always in my mind. It was this like Babylonian, it was like a Tower of Babel there. It was huge and there was so much opportunity and everyone was moving there for these opportunities. And and then what, right? And it got gutted and everybody, it just it caught fire. And I feel like recapturing that soul, like that, there the round table really really made concrete that sense of like, yes, this is part of what the future of community looks like and what the future of strengthening the economy on a local level looks like. It was, yeah, it was, I was very, very moved by it.
I love that. I love that. Last question, Ian. What haven't I asked you that you want to share with the audience?
I knew you were going to say that. And I have a Google Doc and, oh, actually, you can ask me for my personal philosophy on teaching. Yes,
Hit
you
me
can
with it.
ask me that.
Hit me with it.
You have to ask
What's your
though.
personal philosophy on teaching?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that because it was something that was really important to me. I prefer to teach people how to think versus what to think. You can find an echo chamber full of people trying to tell you what to think and what's good and what's bad, and that's changing all the time. But to better yourself and your community and be a blessing to the people around you and to create the kind of abundance that we all want, you really need to know like how to think and how to be authentic and honest. And those things, it's not a 1, 2, 3 checklist.
Yeah,
It's it's weaving the fabric of your internal world in a way that's harmonious with the world around you. Something, I don't know.
I dig it. No, that's great. That's a great. I like that a lot, man. Well, Ian Wilson, from our time together at IMS, I hope we get to spend more time this upcoming spring. This was an awesome conversation, man. I appreciate you being here today, and I hope you continue to crush it in your efforts when it comes to branding, when it comes to culture. I mean, we didn't even get into the framework that you had sent me shortly after IMS. Maybe we can talk about that some other time. We're already at about an hour here, so we don't really have time for that. Maybe we can do it another one, or maybe you can be on my other show, Work But Make It Human, and we can talk about your framework on there. What do you think?
Yeah, that would be rad. I can. I got days. I got days and days. I got days and days of Google Docs.
Cool. Let's do it, man.
Have a
Appreciate
neat
you, Ian. Have a great one, bud.